Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
And Mr. John Young.
I don't hate what you do. I just hate what you look like.
Covered the strong men and women all weekend long.
The fact that you can get that you, out of all of us, have your own soundbite is pretty cool.
I know. I feel honored.
Once that happened, I was like, that's it.
That's the one.
And here's the thing. John has the most sound bites of anyone. Like, I think I have 10 sound bites.
Oh, JR's got a notebook. He just keeps track.
Yeah, JR's the one that's in the corner and just like, all right, I'm just gonna. You just sit, just
that's a good one.
keeping notes, keeping receipts for the crew. But yeah, we will be analyzing the programming today. We recapped Rogue on Monday. Jared, what do you guys? Or Jared, John, what are you guys talking about tonight?
Well, I believe we're going to come out with the updated mountain from the Rogue. So,
okay. So, do you change your mountain after every major competition?
After every major competition, the mountain gets updated. As you know, it is a rich tapestry of history, and after every major competition, updates go to the mountain, and then it's of what the next games, how I think it should be looked at, a power ranking of what should go into the next games.
Okay,
but it's not just who's the fittest. Like, history comes into play too, right? Like Vellner was pretty trash, but Vellner showed that
he's built up enough clout.
Also pretty good. Like, he's not off the mountain because he was trash, right?
So then, what would you do with someone like Haley then, where this competition was not one that was designed for her?
Much more trash than Vellner. That's true.
I feel like she was out-programmed.
Yeah, I got to put a hard look on that. Haley left a bitter taste in my mouth because I'm gonna tell you something. The pegboard was impossible to know. Lateral pegboard. I mean, we know for who might be good at it, but we don't know the majority of them, right? I knew Haley was the best ski GHD combo person there is. She's won every single workout that ski GHD has been in, even beating Tia. And that's really hard to do. I picked her for that workout in heat one.
It's all
I got no points. I got no points. And listen, I ended up 12th place, I think, out of everybody. I was 70 points out of first. And I picked her instead of Tia. Just because I thought she would win. Laura was my other pick.
Okay, you're the wild card, and then
Haley was my flex pick.
Got it.
And I picked I think Justin, which he wasn't great either, but he wasn't as bad as Haley was. And then Laura, and then she was my flex pick. And if I would have I am 1 5th place pick away from winning the whole thing. And she's the reason, because I was 60 points out of winning the whole thing.
Oh man!
So Haley. She might get off the mountain, honestly, for that performance. But you'll have to stay tuned to see.
Yeah, we'll go through the programming, and as I finished modeling the whole weekend, I was like, "Oh, that's why she didn't do well." Yeah. It all kind of makes sense.
Oh no, it's not made for her at all. But
that was like a double punch.
Yeah, she still wasn't as good as. I think she would have.
I was saying, in the events that you would have thought she would have performed well at, she still didn't perform well at. And then the one surprising thing of the entire weekend, and Bill and I talked about this on the last episode, was the sandbag clean event.
Yeah,
because you're like, "Hey, who's getting last year?" I'm like,
Haley.
It's like, son of a bitch! I can't get anything.
No, I know, I do. She's perplexing, and
it was a whirlwind for.
I talked so badly about Emily Rolfe leading up to Rogue. Oh
yeah, you had her last, right?
I know I had her 18th, but I'm she might be last in 4 events, and she was able to be strong enough to still be 12th place, right? Yeah. And Haley was not. So yeah.
All right, so the mountain's coming back. I'm excited for that.
Yes, the mountain's coming back.
Any other hot topics? I don't know.
Tyler's got a dispute that he wants to get off his chest, so I think we'll let that happen. I have no idea what that's him.
Yep.
Like
Look at you standing back from all that. You're just like, whoa.
yeah. I'm just
You're in
just
the
gonna
Homer Simpson right now. Look at you.
let the ride on that one. I'm just gonna, let him be, let him vent a little bit, and
Hey, sometimes a good vent goes a long way. I feel the
for
same
sure.
way about crying, just not on camera. Every once in a while, you need a good
Right.
cry.
You cry on camera all the time, Chase.
I
He does
do.
all the time.
Now imagine how much I cry off camera when I'm not trying to hold it in on a constant basis.
And then we're covering the Grid League Championship on Sunday, so we'll probably preview that a little bit.
I saw that come up. Are you live?
Yes, we have the stream. We will have the stream, and we are no, we're not at the event, but we're going to do the spin cast. But we get the stream, so it'll be much better than like just talking over it and watching it in a different.
Yeah,
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an alternate commentary. There is no commentary there. I mean, there is after the fact on YouTube, but like we're covering it. We get the stream. It's gonna be great because so I'll probably preview that. I don't know if you guys know this, but I will be participating in Grid next year. I'm on a Grid League team, so
Interesting.
it'll be a nice little preview.
John, for some reason, people say your mic is crackling, but I don't hear it.
I don't hear it either.
Do you hear it?
No.
Is it just John's or is all of ours?
I haven't crackled.
I haven't heard one crackle.
Will you just like
You turn it on and turn it off again.
just check it? I don't hear it, but if legitimately everyone else is saying,
They look a little. They're a
Check,
little
check.
angry.
all right, we'll find out. All right, before we get to the analyze the programming. Okay, John just made fun of me of crying on camera. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do want to share, and this is usually what gets me.
Uh-oh.
I got to share a proud father moment of my son Dylan. So
You're gonna cry for sure.
no, I don't think so. I think I'll be good.
Yeah, you are.
I think I'll be good. I'm going to make it short. I'm not going to. It's not going to drag on.
Is it better? Is my mic better?
Yeah, you guys let us know.
I just did unplug and plug.
Yeah.
Jeez, everybody acts like.
Are we sure?
It's not as great. What?
I don't know. It's not just Barkley just throwing a stray right in there. All mics. Sounds like a bad wire.
Wow, we would hear it, would we not?
I
Yeah.
would think so.
Yeah.
Better.
Okay.
Fix.
All right. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
The unplug plug happening. Go ahead and waterwork it up, Chase.
All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. So my son he had to do a fundraiser for school, which is, I always hated those as a kid. Like, hey,
Same.
here's a giant box of candy. Go sell it. We would just like sell it to our friends and just pay each other, or we just eat it and I'd take money from my parents. And Dylan was hell bent on walking the neighborhood. He's like, Dad, I want to sell raffle tickets. I'm like, because I was projecting my own insecurities and uncomfortableness of just going around and asking people for money. I mean, it's a raffle ticket. It's like $25 a pop. And it was like, the deal was if you got 5, it was 100. But I was like, and so I told him, I was like, hey, all right, here's the deal. You go up, you ring the doorbell. I'll stand way far away because I wanted it to be his thing, because he was like, he had all the confidence in the world, which I thought it was really cool, but it was more of like a ignorance is bliss kind of a thing. I was like, just remember, if they say no, it's totally cool. And just say, thank you for your time. Have a great day. And so he gets home from school and I was like, hey, guess what we're doing? He's like, what? I was like, we're going to go sell raffle tickets. And he was like, yes. So we go to the first house and he walks up to the door and he's like trying to practice his speech. And I can hear him. And he's like, my name is Dylan Ingram and I go to this school and I'm selling raffle tickets to a fundraiser. One's for 25, 5 is 100, and try to spiel. And dude, that kid walked 30 houses.
Whoa.
And never once like worried about what he was doing, was loving every second of it. And the more and more we would get there, because you can scan like a QR code, but the link was really janky. So I had to like walk up and help the parent or like the old person that was doing it. And then while they're Sunday, it's like, Dylan's like, and you can buy 1, you can buy 2, 3, or 4 if you want to, 20. However many you want. And he's just sitting there having it. And the best part is like, he would look in their house. He's like, I really like this house. That is
Oh,
a cool-
dude, salesmanship right
Born-
there.
born
Look at
Yeah,
that.
like, that's a really pretty dog. Or I like your yard. I didn't tell him to do any of it. And I was just so proud of his own self-confidence and just wanting to like there was no element in his mind that this was awkward thing to do because that's just a projection of me.
Totally.
Like my any emotion, by the way, guys, if you don't understand this, feelings aren't real. Like what you feel and your emotional reaction to those, it is all here. So the awkwardness of the situation was just my awkwardness of whatever my youth. And I made sure I didn't put that on him at all. Like, hey man, it's gonna be, I just let him go. And dude, it was so cool watching him go house to house. And when someone would say yes and they would leave, and he's like, he was so proud of himself. Like one person got 5, and you thought you bought him a new puppy. Like he was just, it was awesome. So I was super proud of him, and he just crushed it.
Dude, that's awesome. What was the prize for like selling so many tickets or whatever? Like, was there something out there, or was he
There wasn't
he
a
just wanted to do the
prize
house?
for like ticket sales, and in my neighborhood, I'll just say this: we ain't winning the most ticket sale thing because parents will just buy as many as it takes to win. Money is.
There are people who are ridiculous with that.
Yeah,
It's
I got it,
not
I got
the
it, I
kids.
got it.
The parents are
Yeah.
selling the tickets.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think I'm confident in saying this because I didn't see a single kid because we all live in the same street. No one went door to door like Dylan did.
no.
That's awesome.
I mean, when you got like
email my
Susie's
parents.
mom doing 1,000 raffle tickets for a blowjob, Dylan's not going to beat that.
Dang, John.
Do you mean like a hair
I love this new
blowout?
John Young, dude. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Dylan can't compete with that. Is all I'm saying. Like, it just,
If you guys want to clip that. Oh, damn, the cracker. Did you touch him? Did you push him? We'll keep going. But I was
That's
super
awesome. Congrats,
it was
dude.
cool. It was a cool proud dad moment.
Yeah.
Proud dad moment. All right. Let's get to it. The Rogue Invitational. Something we always do. Can you guys hear the crackle now? Because he has it off. Because then it tells me it's not him.
all right. Can you guys hear me? Like, I might just go with my computer audio. Is that okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Y'all let us know if that's fine. Okay. Before we analyze the programming, we want to set a baseline of the purpose of the event, what they're programming for, what their message was going in, and everything around that. Now, Bill, you wanted to start off with a certain question.
Yeah, well, I think when we're thinking about the why of the analyzing, I think it would be important to determine whether we are analyzing just this particular weekend as a whole. Yeah, Chase, Chase bounce. Is it me?
No,
Hopefully-
Chase. They said
Oh,
Chase
it
was
was
the
Chase.
crackle.
Okay, maybe
I mean,
it was Chase.
I think I was the crackle, and then he was the crackle. The crackle's just going around, Bill. I wouldn't be surprised if you're the next.
Well, that's what I was hoping, but I don't know. Everyone's saying much
Yeah.
better, so I don't know. Hopefully that worked. When we are looking at programming in the why, I think it's important for us to say this competition, whether they're, and because one of the things, and we even said it like in the little preview, the familiar programming, and I know that may put a tainted taste in people's mouth based on what they think if it's a legitimate or if it's getting to the why of whatever it's supposed to be. So I think, or let me see what you guys think is when we're analyzing, do we do this compared to other rogues, or do we do this just in this particular weekend, regardless of what other rogues have looked like? That make sense?
As far as being like well balanced, or
Well, okay, we're always going to be looking at well balanced or whatever not even well balanced. We're going to be looking at, does the programming direct towards the why of whatever we see the competition of what the rogue competition is. Obviously, some fitness should be in there, but there has been an irritation since we've seen the events of they're just repeating this. They're just repeating this. They're just repeating this.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that going to affect how we grade what the analysis of the program is? What I'm saying.
I don't think it should affect how we grade the
Yeah.
analysis.
Same.
I like to take Rogue for what it is each year. I agree 100% with the repetitive complaints. Like it is the same thing every year. You're going to get a ski GHG combo. The log muscle up looks like it's just here to stay. And I like the funky things that they do, but it is very repetitive. Like if you wanted to, I
Well,
feel
then,
like
okay, well, then
you could train for Rogue.
okay, so then so then that's one of the things that I
Does
think
that
is
make
going to be
sense?
important. No, I hear you. And that's exactly what I was asking, because that's one of the main things that we have heard that we in our group have talked about. Like, here, this is again 3 years on this and 3 years on this, and we're doing this, and it's the same thing here. Is
Yeah.
that going to affect how we analyze? Is it affecting how we analyze it as of did it fit, or does
Great
that pop
question.
into the grading of our question or our score of Rogue at the end? That's what I was asking.
I don't think it should affect the grade, but I do think it should affect like your next show.
Yes. Yes.
Well, without a doubt, it'll affect the next
Yeah.
one. I
I'm not
personally
going to
think.
go ahead, Bill.
I think myself. I can say what I feel if we analyze it number wise to what it's trying to do. That's one thing. But I
Yeah.
think when I grade it, I'm going to be I kind of have no option but to give it a what did it really feel like? And if it feels like we're just doing this again, then I
Mhm.
will have a harder time going like, yeah, that was excellently, that was perfectly well rounded. But we did it 3 years in a row, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it will naturally bring it down because there wasn't the constantly varied element if we're looking at like a CrossFit type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
I
not as
would
varied as I would like it to be,
put
I
that
guess.
more. So that's a fantastic question. My perspective is I didn't even think about that when I was thinking about grading this individually as it's happening, partly because it's not necessarily the same people taking the test year in and year out. And I'll look at it in a bubble, but I think it's important to be said and talk about those certain things to draw attention to the programming. That being said, if this were the open or quarterfinals and the same things kept doing it like this, I would actually have probably a bigger problem with that because how many times, like what year are you guys on consecutive opens and how many people is like doing it again is like, oh, so in the open, it's just going to be dumbbell snatches, lateral burpees, double unders, deadlifts, rowing for the next 5 years. I would have more of an issue in a setting like that than I do in this.
It's
But
just
it's
so hard that it's
me.
3 years in a row. That's what makes it difficult.
I get it. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Totally with you. All right. Event 1, quicksand. 10 rounds for time. Sandbag carry, 400-meter run. We were unsure of what the carry would look like. We had guesses of what it could look like. The guesses we had maybe were better than what we were given. The first 5 rounds were done with a ruck on. The next 5 rounds were done with the ruck off. And the sandbag carry was essentially just, they had 10 different looking sandbags. And that was basically you ran down and you just moved to the other side of the stadium and went on for your next run. Long time domain. I didn't change the time domain. High volume of work being accomplished. All the sandbag weights, I think, were just relatively light enough to just pick up and move. The couplet just being the two things together, monostructural and weightlifting as that. For me and Bill, this might come actually as I'm coming around is like we've seen a sandbag run event now for the last 3 years. The very first year they had the same thing in 2019 was a part of the first event of the Rogue Invitational ever. I would have liked to seen, and this is be something here is we're analyzing the programming today, but on Friday we're going to reprogram the entire event. In the rules of reprogramming, we always is like we only use the things that they did. We may change order, rep schemes, things like that, but we don't be like, this event actually should have had, burpees in it. Like we don't do that. We try to keep it as on the rails as possible. So here's my question to you guys is that when analyzing the programming, I try as hard as I can to stick with just the workouts that were used and what they did for the competition, not how I watched the competition. Is that one like Bill? Because Bill, you said this a lot, and this is something you put out on our Instagram. Was there's a big difference between programming good workouts and great events.
Right. I think there's a difference between a training element and a competitive event.
Yeah,
100%.
I'll bring up, I think in the next
A handful of times.
A handful. Their camera work here was fantastic, and we got to see a lot of different angles of it going. But we, the viewer, got to see all those camera angles. I guess in the stadium, since Rogue brought in that jumbotron, which is insane, the fact that they did that on their own, you could see all that stuff. To me, this was just like, yep, event one of Rogue. We got the long test out of the way. We got some good running in. Check.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the games is most of the time.
True.
That's how, like, I mean, Wadapalooza is even like that at sometimes. Dubai like that on the first day, at least. There's always going to be that long event on the first day. It might not be the first event, but I'm totally fine with it being a checklist of an event. They always do it. I do wish, and this will be a little bit more on your other show. So if we don't want to talk about it, you can
throw it out there.
Really skip it. I wish they did more. Like, you had more than just a carry. Like maybe you carried it the first round, and then you had to do sandbag squats the second round, like 20 sandbag squats. And then you had like a 50-pound, or a 70-pound, but like a green bag where you had to do 20 thrusters, sandbag thrusters. And you just had to do a different movement each thing, and then you ran 400 meters. And nothing very long, just something that's going to be, it takes like a minute each time, right? Mm-hmm. But, and maybe you had like a strongman, like throwing bag where you had to throw it the length of the field, right? Behind you. You had to do it behind you, so it's going to take a few throws, right?
Yeah.
But eventually it had to get past whatever line. Like, you know, and it doesn't have to be something different every single time, you know what I mean? And then you could just have another carry. And then like maybe they rotated through those and the weights variated. You could pick which one you want to do at any point, but one said carry, one said squat, one said thruster, one said throw. Right. And then you had two kind of sets of those bags, a lighter and a heavier bag. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be so much more fun to watch. Second, and I don't really care if it's fun to watch, but it would be more fun to watch. Secondly, it's not a given that Ricky and Jeff just beat everybody. Tia beats everybody. Haley beats everybody. Laura beats. It's not a given. You know what I mean? Because it's more than just carrying that sandbag. It's actual work. It's actual fitness. Mm-hmm. You know, and if somebody like I think about not this guy, but like somebody like Jorge, maybe it's just better than everybody else at every single sandbag implement, and then ends up getting like fifth because you know what I'm saying?
No,
totally. And it's more fitnessy too.
Well,
no, you nailed it.
It really doesn't lend itself to, like, the sandbags didn't matter enough to where there was that element to it.
I would almost say at all.
What's that?
I would almost say at all. I'm going to go out to the length of, if you took the sandbags out of this event, nothing would change in the placing.
Although, John, the way you're talking about it, you might as well call it like cross rocks, because that's basically high rocks. Like, you just gave it.
Like what John's really saying is, like, he's making the same.
Make them matter.
But with the sandbags, though,
have an effect.
And it's not high rocks, because the heavy bag would put everybody in a high rocks and in the floor.
I'm not in any way disagreeing with what you're saying, because what you're saying is make the elements matter, and the sandbags didn't matter in that particular thing, in that particular event. It was so short. The idea was great, you know, the different bags and the different things they could have used, but they didn't use them. There was nothing that was different in that. The distance that they had to move that sandbag was so short that it really didn't matter. So you're right. Make it count some up. Make them do squats. Make them do thrusters. Make them throw the bag. Whatever the thing is, make that element count, so it's not just a run with a 10-second break in between each run.
Yeah. And like, I think about events like the beach in 2013, maybe I might be off, but where like they had to do a whole bunch of stuff with the kettlebells and then swim and then do stuff with the kettlebells. Yep. Like, yes, the bet Troy Ann's still gonna win, sure, but everybody that's not so like Tia's still going to win, sure. But everybody who's not an elite runner, so you take after the top 4 men and women, that will mix a lot. You know what I mean? Like spots 5 through 20, and it's going to depend on the extra stuff. It's not just who's the best runner, who's the best swimmer.
I get it.
Like
there's
a fitness
100%.
element involved once you get past the top of the spear runner and swimmers, and I like that. That's what I would. It's easy to do.
Yeah,
that's not hard. It's not a hard change. You still keep the same freaking stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. Again, this event's necessary. I didn't mind the event. It's a familiar event. I would have liked to seen, like you guys are saying, is like I would have liked to seen, like you put what 100 sandbags out on the floor and none of them did anything. I would have liked to see those matter a bit more. All right, event number 2. 32 or 26 cal echo bike, 16 ring muscle ups, 8 squat snatch at 225 and 160, 6 shuttle runs, short time domain, low rep volume. The weight was heavy, especially once they got to it and it proved that. It's chipper scheme and has all 3 modalities in the mix in this chipper format. Upon seeing this, I feel like everybody said the same thing, is like, okay, this is a snatch event. And then once the event started, you're like, this is 100% a snatch event. There's some pre-fatigue in there. And then once they got to the shuttle runs, very little change happened unless they left within a second of each other.
Even then, I think the shuttle sprints were the most relevant thing there was.
Yes.
Relevant?
I think after this, irrelevant. I think
Yeah.
the snatches, you should have just ran to the finish line.
Same. Agreed.
Yeah, the same.
And honestly, you might have seen more failure than that too, because you're right there. If you just hit it
yeah, that might have pushed the pace a bit, because, I mean, you watch what Guy did in his first heat after the snatches. He
was walking.
Yeah, he did that crosswalk run where you're in the crosswalk and this car comes up the stop sign and you're like, oh.
Just makes me hate him so much, dude. I'm like, just keep on giving me reasons to hate him. And I feel bad for him a little bit, because he far and away should have won the event. Dallin knew his time, and then he was so far ahead of everybody in heat 1. He could do that, and he's still 40 seconds ahead of everybody. If he would have been in heat 2 and Dallin's 10 seconds behind him, he wins.
Pretty fast.
Right. No. Yeah, but when nobody's done 2 snatches and you're done.
Right.
You're like, well, I think I just won this one. And I'm like, and he's just, oh my gosh, I dislike Guy so much. He's just, don't get me wrong, he's one of the fittest guys in the world. I wish he was better.
What's so crazy is the design of the event is the design. I mean, and I almost have to kind of take the shuttle sprints out, but the design of it is awesome.
Yeah,
you have monostructure in there. You got your gymnastics in there. You got your Olympic lifting in there with a great weight, and that's a great weight.
I think it's the perfect weight.
I mean, we talk about this, Chase, that 70%. That how hard do you want to go? How hard can you go? It makes everyone just a little nervous, which is awesome.
Juana, there is nothing Guy did this weekend to make me think he's getting fitter. That 20th place in event 1 is what I think of Guy. That's all you got to see for Guy. I don't care what weight he lifts or how fast he runs. I care zero. He could get 50 pounds stronger. It doesn't matter.
No.
That 20th place in event 1 is everything you need to know about Guy.
I mean, unless they decide to do a P score on something, but other than that, you're right. There's 0.
Well, Bill and I talked about this when we were recapping, is that a lot of times when I would give my opinion on Guy's performance overall, it usually centers around what I think he could be capable of. And I think we just landed on, maybe Guy doesn't want to do that. And he just wants to just do what he does because it's working for him.
He doesn't.
He's one of the most popular athletes in the sport. So is Danny Spiegel. And regardless of where they finish at the end of the weekend, they do their thing. They're hailed for it. And there's really little downside of, you will never be the fittest person on the planet at the CrossFit Games.
Which is a much easier place to be.
Right. And if that's what they want, but here's the thing. If that's what they want, and look, You do things no one else in this sport can do with ease, and it's amazing to watch. And if that's what you want to do, then I will reserve my criticism of what I think your overall performance could have been and the skill sets that you have. And if you just added these things, you could be one of the fittest people ever.
Chase, did it annoy you ever with like Troyan or Koski? I guess Koski's pretty fit, but like Troyan especially, when they fail a 300-pound overhead squat and get last place in event 2, you know what I mean? Or like just like kill the things they're great at, and then they never work their weaknesses. They're fit enough to always be there, but then they're just the same person. And they don't care. They just want to win those events, and they don't try to get better at the other stuff because they know they're fit enough to get there.
Yeah.
Did those people? Because I've come to the realization I'm far harder on people that are like me, that are there, right?
Yeah.
Like Danny Spiegel's a little different because her morals are mostly why I don't like her. But like Guy. I have such a dislike for him because he's so gifted and he refuses to work his weaknesses. And, you can tell me he's working his weaknesses all you want. Anybody out there, that 20th place in event 1 is all I need to see about how he's working his weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why I'm so freaking hard on people like that. And I don't care about them at all. And why I never think they're going to be anything, because they're the same thing. They're going to be the same thing every year. And it drives me wild.
Yeah, that's a great question. I wouldn't label it. So I have this feeling, but it usually centered around people that I trained with that were so physically gifted in ways that I was not.
He put the burpee dudes,
but they were so lazy. I was like, if I just had your skill set that God gave you and you are totally taking advantage of and not utilizing this, in my work ethic, because I tried so hard to be good at all the other things, and it just never worked out once I made the games one time, and I just didn't have that.
You have a certain potential.
But I tried as hard as I could, where I would see other people that just had these gifts that they're just like, yeah, I can just do this, but and they just waste it. That's where I would get frustrated.
So this is what people comment on like Spin's podcast too, whenever I'm going off on Guy. He's literally training for an Ironman. He's training for a marathon. It freaking showed in event 1, didn't it, guys? Like what the freak are you talking about? He's last place by a lot. Like he shouldn't be there. Like he's in the wrong competition. It looks like event 1. Event 1, it looks like he showed up and he didn't know what this was going to be. And I maybe that's what it's from, Chase. Maybe you think like if I was just as fit as Guy, how good I would be because I work harder than him, and like how gifted he is. Maybe it's coming. I don't think it's coming from that. You were a higher level than I was. You know what I mean? You're just a little bit more for you to touch or grasp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So but I just think he's a freaking modern day Neil Maddox, and I'm never gonna root for those guys because they don't have this, you know what I mean? And it's there's people out there that have it.
I like how, it's a good conversation. I like that good conversation there, where it's coming from. Overall thoughts on this one, squat snatch workout.
Anyway, he did good in this event. He should have ran faster at the end.
Yeah. Overall, I like the format like you guys do. The 6 at the end here drives me nuts.
I mean, they could have done 4 and it would have been exactly the same.
4 would have been the exact same, and then
it would have looked prettier in the numbers.
Brain doesn't explode while watching this.
Right.
I think there are things they could have done.
It could have been 0. That would have matched perfectly.
That's true. This would have been one of those where it's like, oh, we're going to program this fast-paced regional S finale type thing, and then they go to like, oh no, everyone's just pacing until they get to the snatches. So what could we have done to maybe change the way people attack this, which I'll talk about options on Friday, but I still liked it. It was a good workout.
A great workout.
I love the event. The shuttle sprints were just irrelevant, but I love the event for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was, but yeah, it was like, all right, they're biking. People are breaking up their muscle ups in 2 or 3 sets because of the snatches. They're like, all right, so nobody's going hard yet. And then
I thought it was more interesting watching everyone on the bike right away. 3, 2, 1, and go! And everyone's like, Ariel Owens over there smiling. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yep.
Sorry, sweet. Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. Let me know when we get to the stage. That's how it was the whole way.
Yep. But I did like the format. I like the movement combos. I just almost there. All right, event number 3, Braveheart, 8642, wall walk complex and back squat. I think everybody figured out that the wall walk complex could probably only be some type of wall walk and wall facing handstand push up. We saw Taylor do that for Kill Taylor. Gosh, I don't know what week that was, but pretty early on. Mm-hmm. And what it was 1 wall walk into 2 wall facing handstand push-ups for every rep, which is what, total of 20 wall walks, 40 wall facing handstand push-ups, and then a total of 20 back squats at 375 and 260, which is the same weight we saw last year. Short event, again, low rep volume. Again, most of the short, heavy ones are low rep volume, which is pretty much what should be the case. The couplet of weightlifting and gymnastics will be pretty familiar as we move through this. I like this. And I think the way they did this, I was a bit concerned that it was going to be the 1 wall walk, 1 wall facing handstand push-up, which I'm glad they did 2 because it made it actually have an impact on the gymnastics portion. So it wasn't solely, can you back squat this faster than everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I think the wall complex was played way more of a factor than the back squats did.
Yeah,
and I think they should, for the record. Like if you wanted it equal, I'd probably say maybe 405, 275. But I had no issue with I loved this event for what it was. I think it did exactly what it wanted to do. Danielle Brandon got last place. Laura Horvath got 14th. That tells you everything you need to know about the event. You know what I mean? It's enough that people have holes. It's going to show. If you're not strong enough, it's going to show. So it hurt if you had a hole in one of those 2 things, it hurt both of y'all. And then you had to be good at both of them to be successful. You couldn't just be really good at one.
Right. I would have loved it. And we talked about it beforehand, on one of our shows when we were just looking at the events. I would have loved that one to be more of a deficit, just because I knew it would have been more stinging than just doing the 2 strict. But that was a great addition. I mean, because 1 just really wouldn't matter. It wouldn't have done anything.
With the deficit, but the double.
Yeah, just 1 handstand push-up, but with a 4 or 2-inch deficit.
Right, totally. Walk up to a plate on each side. I mean, that's not out of the. That's not too crazy. It's not dangerous. No one's going to be breaking anything on that. So I think that would have been okay. And again, same thing. I like the weight on the squat. I thought that it wasn't just about, okay, only the strongest is going to get it, because you can get some people that at the decent enough weight that it's like, all right, there'll be a level of capacity to it, not just I'm the best squatter. I mean, you can still keep yourself up there in the mix with that, which I think is
what's nice is that now we have this full day of competition. We had the aerobic test on event 1. Event 2, it was the weightlifting as the majority of your success in this one. And then in event 3, as you guys are saying, the wall walk complex had more of an impact on pass or fail in this than the back squat for the majority. It's funny that Chelsea Miller says, how horrible would this be with overhead squats? My workout this morning that I programmed was 3 overhead squats at 155, 1 wall walk to wall facing handstand push-up, 10 rounds.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And it was terrible. So you're correct. It would be terrible. I like this one. I think this is one of the ones that they nailed.
Also, this is the event that made Brent Fikowski not win the Rogue Invitational. If he would have gotten 10th place, 10th, that's it, just 10th place, he would have won the Rogue Invitational.
10th place?
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? Like, you would think it'd be a lot more, right? And it's like, no, he was actually seeing where his event placements were, this was such an outlier for him. He was 18th. So yeah. And if you take out this one event, his average placement finish was 3.5. Jeff's was 4.75. So he beat Jeff the entire competition except for this event. And this event Jeff destroyed him. Right, Jeff won.
Well, Jeff destroyed everything.
Right, first place. Right,
Knee
right,
sleeves only.
right. Jeff's greatest event was Brent's worst event. Other than event 3, Brent had a better Rogue Invitational.
Interesting.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and could be showing is like, all right, the variants of the things that were tested, even though thematically there's a lot of similarities throughout the weekend. And as we said before, is all right, you better be able to back squat really heavy if you come to Rogue. All right, event 4. 1,000-meter row, 30 thrusters at 135 and 95, 30 and 20 log bar muscle ups, and then work your way back, 30 thrusters, and then a 1,000-meter row. Moderate time domain, that 15 to 16 minute moderate rep scheme. 100 to 150 is the range, is 120 to 130 specifically. The weight being moderate. I wanted to say heavy for the volume at which they were doing 60 reps at 135 and 95, but these athletes these days are just so dang strong that that's a moderate weight. The scheme is a chipper, and then the modality had all 3 in there. This is the one where I raised the question of good workout, not necessarily great spectator event. This actually, I would say this is probably the worst spectator event of the weekend.
I wouldn't even say worst spectator. I just think the worst competitive event, because it didn't, like this race. There was no race for the first almost 3/4 of this race.
There's barely a race for the last 250 meters on the road.
It's 30 log muscle ups for time.
Well, it's either that. Let's look at your capacity there, or no one. I mean, like no one does anything up to that point. You don't want to be fatigued going into the log muscle up. And then what do you do after that? And everyone saw where the placement was, and there really wasn't a whole lot of chasing or racing after that. It just was what it was.
Yeah, once you got off the logs, it was hard to catch.
I agree. But that's what I mean. Like, it's a great training event. It's a great training. This is a great job to do in your gym. Like, let's see what kind of paces you can hold. And it's not about racing the other people. It'd be like, what sort of what sort of numbers are you able to hold all the way through so that you can race really hard at the end? Like, that would be the training module that you're playing with when you're looking at this. But as far as a competitive event, there wasn't any. I mean, again, you could have just had, all right, we're going to do 30 log muscle ups. Or let's just, like that's all it ended up being.
Do you think 30 bar muscle ups, it would have been a much more fun race?
So this is a Friday question, but I think.
Sorry,
no, it's okay. Well, this isn't again. Not everybody's
valid for analyzing it, though.
Yeah, everything in here as far as like creating a race and really testing these athletes on a certain level. I think everything here is just beefed up too much, whether it's too much volume or too much weight. I think it's a 500-meter row. It's thrusters at 95 and 65. It's 30 bar muscle ups at 95 and 65 in a 500-meter row. Every single thing in there is going to matter. But like people they're like, oh, you got to race the last 1,000. It would just be
they're going unbroken on the first. Maybe
that's the race, though. Right? That's why it turns it into a race. Yeah.
But like,
because right now you don't.
If you saw people get to the last 1,000-meter row, it's like, oh, it's going to finish in the last 1,000. People didn't start rowing hard in the last 1,000 until maybe the last 500. A couple people did, but most girls are holding a 2-minute pace on the 1,000, both in the beginning and the end, save for your top girls. On the guys, it was almost the same thing. I saw 155 is an average pace on the 1,000-meter at the end. And it was not necessarily because they didn't want to try hard, it's that they were so beat up getting back to the rower. There wasn't really a race to be had unless you could sustain that.
Might have been the fastest that they were going.
I think I saw Ricky at a 139 towards the end.
Dallin was probably rowing 130.
Dallin was out there.
He was the only person they didn't show monitor. That was bad camera work. They showed everybody's monitor except the guy that was passing everybody.
and that's just a nitpick thing for me, right? Watching this, I skipped through most of this. I woke up. I don't say I woke up late. I didn't wake up early for this, and I was like, all right, what's everybody's pace for the 1,000? Okay, who gets the barbell first? Okay, skip forward. Who gets to the log? Like there was just no races to be had. It was just a war of attrition. But that's just my opinion on it. I think the biggest miss of this entire thing was the time cap.
That'll be a common theme.
Like 16 or 15 women did not finish this event.
Do you think they did this with bar muscle ups and then they threw that log in there and be like, they're fitter, they'll probably be able to do it?
14 men did not
Huh?
finish this event.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
I
when they
think the
when they
bar-
tested it, or like I mean,
I hope that that's not the case. Like seriously. I mean, like, how can you have any test and be like, oh, well, I did it with this thing, but we're gonna have those. You're not.
how do you
testing
get
it
this
then.
time cap?
I don't know.
You
I
see
don't
what I'm
know.
saying? That's the only way I could think about it.
I
maybe
don't know.
because like everybody's doing singles. Most everybody on the bar, unless they just rested more to do that. And yeah, there might have been some like close races, but you can't see anything. Like even if they were close, ending on a rowers for 3.5 to 4 minutes racing, it was a tough competitive watch, and didn't drive as much. I would, I don't know, attacking from the athletes. It was just like,
No,
okay,
the entire race was a pace. There was no race at all.
No, there was no.
It was all pace, just to see if you could keep yourself going or how far you could get into it. I mean, granted, everybody, you want to win, whatever, but like, there wasn't any race in that first 1,000-meter row. Oh my God, that was so boring to watch.
Just take it out.
Like that was literally watching your home gym class doing a warm-up row before they have to do some rowing that day. Like they were that.
That said, great training workout. Hey, we're going to do this. You're like, damn it. Great training workout. Miss as far as a competitive event, in my opinion.
100%.
Where am I?
100%.
Oh, let's see. Row thruster. I love all the movement patterns. It's Jackie.
Right.
Just worse in every way. Excuse me. All right. Event 5, Devil's Tail. Another chipper. 3 rope climbs. Anyway, how? 21 single arm sear bell devil presses at 170 pounds. 3 rope climbs. 21 on the other arm. 3 rope climbs. Right off the bat, things I love about this is that they made them do all the sear bell devil presses on one arm, and they made them do legitimate devil presses, which is one time from the ground to overhead, not a clean and jerk. Loved that. And in fact, I like this entire thing. A bit too slow, I think, on the sear bells. I just felt like I watched people do single arm devil presses the entire time. Either that's too many reps on that movement itself, just because devil presses take a long time.
It's a lot harder than people think too. Like I think what you saw, they made it look a lot easier than what this is. Like if the regular person goes and does like go get a 100-pound dumbbell and do some dumbbell snatches with it. Like it's not easy. All right. Yeah. So, but it looked like everybody just went nonstop without stopping, the whole entire time. They missed the time cap on this a little bit too. Just 1 minute longer, I think would have been money. But
what is, let me see. This event 5 time cap. What was it? 7 minutes? 7 minutes. Only 6 men finished this. And on the women's side, I think it was 3. 2. 2. 2. So back-to-back major misses on the time cap.
Do you think the rope climbs even mattered?
It did to those who could handle the bell at the end. Obviously, I think the best example of that was Laura. Because Laura and Tia, very little separation at all on the sear bell, but Laura was just handling that rope climb better.
Yeah.
So if you had the elevated capacity here, then there were some races. But even then, once you got to the 21 sear bell single arms, you're just like waiting and counting.
Do you think a thick rope would have made a difference?
Yeah.
I think 20-foot thick rope would have been cool. Like, because it's only 3, it's not very many at all. Probably make the time cap 2 minutes longer, but then may make the rope thick too. So the whole time you're holding on to something. You know what I mean? And I think that would have been fun. Or like a shorty rope where you got your first two that are legless, and then you can climb it the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to keep the number at 3. It seems like they wanted that number at 3. So
the number's fine.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be full legless because then it's just a legless workout. But like a shorty rope or a thick rope, I think would have been better.
That hybrid rope, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I would have liked seen, I don't know. It's the same thing I had. Maybe it's just a me thing. It's just something that pushed the pace of this event more by the way it's written on paper.
Oh, you wanted it faster. I mean, I thought the 5 or 6 guys that got to the rope at the same time, I thought that was a fun race.
True.
They all got to the rope at the same time, and then it was just who wanted to climb faster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is what you would want. So they definitely got that. I don't know. I like the combos.
No, I think the design is great, but again, it turned into one of those things where as you got towards the end of it, it was more of a slog. I mean, like, yes, Laura made, she was moving quickly, but it didn't look like she was moving quickly. She was just moving.
Just didn't stop.
It was she could just hold that pace all the way. I mean, the devil press, boom, boom,
like
boom,
a
boom.
Donkey Kong climb.
Kind of, yeah.
No, I'm talking about Barkley. What Barkley's saying.
Yeah. Right.
That would be interesting.
That would be actually really cool.
Right.
Those are not as hard as people think. They look hard, but they're not that hard. Like
yeah, because you don't have to like cross over yourself and you just lat.
I saw somebody do it and then he said, "Go ahead and try it. It's not that bad. It's like a legless rope climb." I'm like, oh.
It's like old videos of Noah Olsen.
And then I could do it, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad at all.
Like a rope muscle up.
Yeah. Yeah. But it just seemed like it was too slow.
Yep. But
but I like the mixtures.
Yeah, that's the visual.
So again, like, okay, maybe do the whole thing. So then, like, you have to be.
You got to separate those things, man. I do it. I
know. I hear you. So if you're gonna have it this way, and you're figuring about the pace that people are going to be going, that again is where you have to really look at the time frame of what you're trying to put this at. Put it at 12 minutes, so that everyone is gonna get through all. So you're not worried about are they going to make it or not.
Yeah.
What was the time? What was the time from 7?
7.
Jeez.
10 would have been fine.
10. I'm not a big fan of devil press in general in a competition.
Why?
It's because it's just slow. Everything that you just said, it's just slow. I'm not saying it's not. It is very fitnessy. I'm not saying it doesn't test good things.
That's a brutal move.
But sure. But it is slow. Like, I mean, I agree. Like, you guys are just kind of a slog. The last event was a slog. Event 6 in between the heats, it's a slog.
Right.
Like I mean, I think Rogue was good. It's just you're just kind of waiting on stuff to happen, and like Devil's Press as a movement is just slow.
Yeah.
Like,
then if that's the case, change the time cap so you got it. Everyone's getting all of them.
Well, I mean, or just do a dumbbell snatch and make it 120.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Make it something you got to really gear up to do, and then
I wanted to shoot the shoulder to overhead.
A 120 shoulder to overhead.
No. That 100 pounds to your bell. 20.
And then just crank
on the right side only.
If they would have done
a lot of failure like that, that would be cool.
So it crashed. They did 3 rounds of 10. They did the clean and jerk, and then they did the snatch.
True.
And I think if they would have just done if they would have done 21 dumbbell snatches at the 100, the speed that they would and like having to hold on, that would have been.
And there's a lot of can you do it or not? Like,
right.
Taylor was touch and go in those snatches, and Colton could not do it. He tried. He tried to do it. He couldn't do it. And then you get there at the same time because like a lot of them got there at the same time. It's like, can y'all drop it and touch and go at the same like that with 100 pounds? And I would even go I'd Castro it up. I'd go like a 110, like just something, just something a little bit more than you want. You know what I'm saying? And
that's where they don't alternate.
And I like the alternate because it's like, can you catch it? You know what I mean? That's the hard part for a lot of them is catching it. Because if you want to go like here, it's slower than if you just caught it, right? But with 100, it's very, very hard to catch it. I'm not against the one arm because it is a lot of.
I'm just saying, just fatigue that one side out, blow it out, because now you're going to hold on. We saw what people did. Like it set to 10. Now you got 11 more. You got to keep on going with. Like I think that would be and the tempo would be a lot faster. I think it would be pretty exciting.
Everybody making that in that time cap. Everybody would make it in the 7-minute time cap.
Yeah. Great workout though.
Yep, it was.
Not a great event. Great workout.
And like, what's funny, I love this workout. They just ruined it.
This was so the dual 4, 5 up and over the bales, 50-foot sled push, 4 power stair steps. There's a little bit of a sprint to get to the sled and then get back to the stair, which I thought was a really cool. Did you intentionally mean to do that? It looked, because you could have put the sled right by the bale and just pushed it there. So part of the sprinting was in there, which I really liked. I think of all the duels they've done, this might be the best one they've ever programmed.
I would agree with that. Of the movement pieces, like the elements that are in it.
Because a lot of the problems we had in the past, I think the very first duel was heavy double unders, 3 snatches, and then a sandbag to a pedestal. That one was pretty good too, but it's like, all right, if you missed a double under,
you're done.
It's over. So it's an execution.
Or, I mean, you couldn't miss a snatch either.
So that one is pretty good.
And they gypped the top 5 people because they got to buy, but now they're against the fastest people.
Right. So you don't do that. So I think the best program one, because it took pretty much every single element of judging out of the equation that mattered. We had the overhead squats one year, and then the up and over logs, but no rope climb because it was raining that day. This one was fantastic. The visual of it was great. The sprint, the sled, the run back. You would actually have lead changes on that middle portion, which was super cool. And then the stair step that they built with that lift and move to the next stair was so cool. And the fact that they finally changed the first round buy thing, mad props for them putting all 20 in there. The double negative being, okay, you give the first top 5 free points just for doing well to that point of the competition. And then you put them at a disadvantage competitively to the ones that made it to the next round. So all that I really did like a lot. If I'm just focusing on the programming, this is probably the best duel they've made.
I agree completely. I even think the guys, everybody keeps tearing their Achilles. Let's change to burpees. I even think the change to burpees in the midst of the event, I even think that was good. It was the quickest problem solving we've probably seen from an event. Like, hey, this is bad. Let's make it different. You know what I mean? Like badness aside, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't see that coming. Let's change it. And it didn't affect anything. Like you still won. You're still the fastest person. You know what I'm saying? Like I love that they changed that part of it. But I agree completely.
The burpee made it better.
I did too. I mean, they should have started. Obviously, I mean, and JR obviously, I say this when we get there. Like obviously, I feel like it should have started with the burpee. But I agree completely with Chase that I feel like this was the best program duel. Like he said, like Danielle Brandon had a lead every single time after the jumps. Emma Tall kept making her move on the sled. And then Horvath would do the stairs faster than everybody. Jay Crouch would do the stairs faster than everybody. We never talked about Jay. I don't know if they did it Rogue, but we never did. And like every single time he's behind everybody, and then he does the stairs faster than everybody, and he ended up getting into the last heat. We never talked about it. And so no, I agree completely. I thought this was the best duel too. It was fun to watch. They just ruined it with the waiting time. And I mean, if anyone's curious, like I think Chase has the best idea about how to fix it, and I hope Katie listens. With doing all 4 guys heats and then doing all 4 girl heats while you're, worrying about
so like guys, girls.
Yep.
Yeah. I think if they do that, it'll be the most exciting event to watch.
Probably the best event. Yeah, because every single year they ruin the duel like that. I think the duel is fun every year. But it's always ruined by that. I don't know why it takes so long. I don't think it should take so long. I get what they have to do, and what they have to do, Chase. It doesn't seem like it would take that long. Like I feel like I could be like, somebody tries to appeal, I watch the tape. Nope.
Yeah.
And it takes how long? It
Throw
takes
a
how
plate,
long to
yeah.
get from
Throw
to
a
watch?
plate on the sled, throw
Right.
a plate on the stair step thing you got, and bring the dudes out.
Yeah.
Because like if people are walking off, they're changing sleds and guys walk. So there's always something happening. And the one thing that they changed from year one, I don't know if you guys remember this, but why the duel didn't hit in year one wasn't the programming. It was the fact that it was the final event for Rogue. And in that time, Annie was giving it to Tia at Rogue that year.
Mm-hmm.
And Annie was coming back. That was basically her first year back from her kid. But and then I think it was Vellner and Justin Medeiros. But what happened in the very first round, Annie and Pat got knocked out. And so the event was basically over by then, but we had 3 more rounds to get through.
Yeah, so they got like 15th place, and now we're like,
so
well,
it was exciting.
Okay, Tia won.
Yeah, we had great races, but by the second round, we already knew who was going to win the Rogue Invitational. That's where they fixed in year one, and then year 2 and 3, it was the programming and the judging, and then in year
2 was the judging. I actually didn't have a problem with year 3.
Year 3, it was way too biased. It was log up and over, and then put these 3 sandbags in the bale. I was like, all right, who's the strongest, fastest person here that requires
least balanced?
Right, the least balanced. Now
it's not a CrossFit test; it's an athletic test.
Yeah, it was supposed to have, I think, 2 legless rope climbs in there,
which would have changed a lot.
It would have been great. I would probably have liked that one almost better than this one, but visually, programming wise, the way it finished up the stairs was just they nailed it.
I thought it was great, and I liked it. The fact that you couldn't get penalized for something stupid, a no rep on something. It was just do the work, and I really liked that element. So and it wasn't with the going up and over the bale. There wasn't a set way of doing that where you can hone in this super crazy efficiency like you could where you had to go over the logs the year before.
Yep.
It just really, it was very simple but very fun. The races were great. The fact that everyone was moving that fast and you still had lead changes in the middle of it, I thought was awesome.
It's good seeing athleticism on display.
100%
CrossFit event.
Yeah.
I agree with Barkley. I think every single person during the duel should be given a red flag. And if they want an appeal, they're going to throw the red flag in the middle of the arena.
Oh, you mean like a throw?
Yes.
Just like
no. Like in football, like they have a red challenge flag. And if they want to challenge the duel or whatever happened, no, the athlete, you got to walk out there. Everybody sees you. You hold up your red flag and then you just put it down. And then we're going to wait 5 minutes.
So Barkley's idea, if you guys are just listening, is he says they could even entertain us by having the spectators in the know on the appeal process. For example, here are the standings, but James Sprague is appealing. Let's review, just like you see in the NFL.
Yeah, so you put it on the Jumbotron, and then you just replay just James, or like even if you don't have that power, their heat with an arrow pointing to James.
Right.
And then let's see what happened.
Yeah.
Right? That would take 5 minutes. And now we're not just waiting on nothing for 5 minutes.
And the technology on that is minute because I do wrestling matches and stuff like that. And a coach will throw a brick in at the match and they'll replay that last little 10-second piece and they'll just run it back and forth. And that's on the main screen while they're doing it.
Yeah.
So you can see it's super easy to do it. That's not a difficult thing.
Yeah. But bravo, guys. Nailed the duel.
Love that
programming. Loved it. Fantastic. All right. That entered day 2. Now the final day of competition. Event number 7. The horizontal pegboard, longer than I thought it was going to be, tougher than I thought it was going to be, which made it great.
Way tougher than I thought it was going to be. 1
pegboard, 60 or 48 ski erg cows, 60 GHG sit-ups, pegboard, 40-40, pegboard 20-20, and then a pegboard at the end. And what it looked like, it was reminiscent of 2015 Pedal to the Metal when the vertical pegboard first got displayed. It's like you either had it or you didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do, and
do you think
I don't like events where it's like one thing affects the whole entire event. The other stuff's pointless, and I felt like it was this event.
It was this event. If you weren't even remotely, I mean, the fact that there were the drastic difference between those that looked like they knew what they were doing or have been on a pegboard before, and those that looks like they had never touched the pegboard ever.
Yeah.
And I just can't see how, if you, especially these levels of athletes, that that they've gone up and down on pegboards, you have no ability to go sideways.
I don't know how they can't muscle it just one time.
So exactly, that's what I mean. Like at all, and I
There was one at
refuse to
JR's,
believe. I
but-
refuse to believe that it is more difficult going sideways, whether you're used to or not, when all you need to do is hang with straight arms.
Well, when you saw what Fikowski did, you're like, oh, that looks obviously them making it look easy is a lot different than it actually being easy, but their efficiency maybe masked the difficulty. But even what Laura was doing, like, why didn't you just look over there and be
everybody
like,
could do what Laura was doing?
Everybody could do that.
Yeah, and you might not be accurate. You might have somewhere like, oh shoot, and then you come
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's,
Right.
And like there was one at JR's got one in his garage, and I was like, oh, I've never seen one of these. And then, but we knew they were gonna happen with Rogue, and I got on there and I did just 2 or 3 holes, and I was like, okay, I could do that. And obviously would have been really hard to do the whole board, but could do it like muscle through it enough where I could get through it without falling. You know what I'm saying? And Caravis should have been told to go home after that event. I personally think Caravis should have been like, hey, we'll pay for your flight. But that's it. Like we'll give you, we'll even pay for first class. We're not going to give you $10,000. You can't even do a sideways pegboard one time. Like you should not, and you're probably not going to be asked back. I don't even care if you qualify through the qualifier.
Which is so surprising.
This performance from you, you're shaming our event, and you should not have done.
Now, all that being said, what you guys talking about is like, we don't want to see one movement just completely derail everything, and it's just your ability to do that. What Sammy's saying is like they were told before that
you got time to practice,
right?
You got time to practice, and 2, I don't put that fault on the programming of this event.
Right.
I don't either. I'm just
because if everybody had some decent capacity on the pegboard where they could get away from people or they fell back, they had multiple opportunities within the middle part of these to make up time or keep pace ahead. Right? If everybody had their, I's dotted with a heads up, right? I don't put that on the programming at all. I
don't either. I'm just disappointed in the athletes.
Sure, yeah, but again, like you said, I put anything that people maybe don't like about this event on the athlete's performance, not on how it was programmed.
Yeah. Haley Adams, I don't believe in you anymore. I did believe in you.
Well, and it's crazy because I would have loved to have seen something a little bit more with the pegboard. Like I don't see that as an evolution. What we've seen, like with handstand walking and all the things we can do with that. Okay, we've gone up, we can do that, and literally we barely can go sideways. Like I would have loved it to be like a V. You got to go up one way and then down. I mean, if we're gonna do something, I would have rather seen something like that. Like we haven't. To me, that was not an improvement.
I think they should have invited Jacob Hepner out just to show them all how it's done. I feel like Jacob Hepner would have won that workout. He could have beat Brent.
I mean.
Brent was pretty fast. But like Jacob's got like he had that sideways pegboard stuff like 4 years ago.
Right. Right.
But I liked it. I liked the event. I like it where it was. We were in need of something a bit more upper body pulling on the gymnastics side. But yeah, I liked it. And Bill, I'm with you. It's like I think that's where it is and when they did it is good, and it just shows like where. Now we know what could be done even more so with the evolution of a pegboard. And I'd be curious to see what they do. All right, event 8, 3 rounds for time, 100 heavy rope double unders, 50-foot single arm sear bell overhead walking lunge with the 100 and the 70, and then a 100-foot handstand walk. Now, was it 5 20-foot sections that had to be unbroken, but that middle 20-foot, they had to turn around.
Half pirouette.
At the halfway point and then come back. Was that the case?
Yes.
Yeah. 50 down, 50 back.
I like I really, Bill, we were talking about like, okay, how are they going to do the sections? Is it going to be the 5 foot thing? Is it going to be 25 down, 25 back times 2? I hope that part's unbroken. I thought the way this is all put together was nice. It was interesting to see who had problems for what reasons. I think there was a carryover effect from the previous event to this one, because as much as people think like it's all pulling, it's like you're just failing your pegboards. It's a bit different. The volume of ski ergs at an intensity that'll disrupt your upper body pressing stamina. People
actually
think that's a pull movement, but
I did this event this morning.
Did you? How'd it go?
I was 14-13.
Oh shit! What were the times?
I was last place by like 2 minutes with the guys, 2.5 minutes. But I beat some girls. I did beat some of the girls.
Nice
you
job.
did.
Nice
Yeah.
job.
I mean, the rope got ridiculous. I used to.
That's a lot of double unders.
Yeah,
like I'm a big high volume double under guy. If you're going to throw it in there, make the double unders matter. Don't just have them like as a break time of the event. I think we may have swung too far to the other side. Because if this was regular, get it going, right? Great.
Yeah.
Let them race. The heavy at 100 times 3, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I went 40, 30, 30 on the first set, and I honestly think that was too much. Because I got through the first round at like 4 minutes and felt pretty good. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to try to go. I was going to try to go slow enough. I thought I could negative split it if I pushed the handstand walk hard in the last round. And I did not do the pirouette. I just did 100 feet, 25-foot sections. And I had the Zeus rope. They had a different rope. And I had a dumbbell. They had a cedar bell. So it's a little different. Yeah. But
still fun.
And then I was like 20s after that, like just 20. I mean, we're resting for like 20 seconds. Then 20.
Well, I
and then,
think
like, the rope took forever. Like
the rope, yes, with the weight, like okay, shoulder fatigue, grip fatigue, forearm fatigue. The lung hit that comes from heavy double unders and heart rate elevation, I think will surprise a lot of people how significant it gets.
It's like when you first learn double unders, like, because you have to jump that high, you have to spin it that hard. Yeah, I was resting long enough. I didn't really feel that lung fatigue. But my shoulders are pretty good endurance with like shoulder fatigue. So I thought I could do well in it. I was surprised after I did it. I didn't know what last place was for the guys, but I felt really good about it. And so then I went over there and I was like, oh, they're all 3 minutes faster. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, I did great. And I'm like, wow.
I was like, this is just what I am. You did good for you. Like, be happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely one I'd like to do. How'd the weight feel?
Not hard.
You're the wrong person to ask that question too.
Yeah. I mean, I rested on the handstand walk a decent amount too after the first round.
All in all, though, I like this.
No,
would
really,
would you have changed anything on this, John? Would you have gone 100 on the lunges?
No, because I do think for a lot of people that weight is heavy. I mean, for the games athletes, I mean, even the games athletes, like they put it down at the halfway mark. And I mean, I know they had to switch hands, but very few people. And like when I got to the 25-foot mark, I just kind of put it in that hand and like kept it overhead.
Oh yeah.
And then lunged. But like a lot of them put the dumbbell down and then
especially the first 2 rounds, because you kind of need to make sure that you have that last round. And that's like what Brent would try. Brent just stayed up with it.
And he'd go like here or like here and then go back up with it like that. But and they're moving way faster. So like the shoulder fatigue that they feel is probably a little bit different than the shoulder fatigue that I felt.
Agreed.
Like I didn't really feel anything on the lunge other than you just had to balance it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I can't say I think it was fine for what they did. I mean, the jump rope was the hardest part. They were all breaking up the jump rope and resting on the jump rope.
I think they were all resting on the handstand walk.
I think Laura went unbroken. Laura's except the last round, but Laura, I think went unbroken the first 2 rounds.
Damn.
Weird event for her to just murder everybody. I feel like
right.
I would not have picked it. I would not have her to be bad, but it's like I wonder what the P score is on that. type of event. I would not have called that for Laura.
One thing I've wanted to do with Tyler, I think I've mentioned this before, but Bill and I, when we first started the podcast, we went back and analyzed every CrossFit Games from 2007 to, at the time, 2019 or 20, Bill? And then we did every regional, and then we did every open. I want to go back with Tyler and P-score every CrossFit Games.
Oh, you might get hurt.
From 2007 to 2024.
Y'all's precious gold ain't as precious as you think he is.
I would, I think that'd be fun. So
that 333 hurt him.
Dear Tyler.
Your negative events hurt you more than your good events. So like every time somebody's like, I want, like when Laura beats everybody by 2 minutes, or like the pegboard event, like, and you want to see the P score on that, and everybody's going to have super low points.
Right.
The
ones where everybody is just doing decent and you do exceptionally poor is what you mean. Like getting last in the field where the field's all spread out evenly, that's not that bad. But it's getting last when everybody does really.
Yeah. If there's just something you can't do really, or like I mean, that's what hurts you more than everything. Yeah. So like that hurts you way more than you gain.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Like somebody who just gets 7th in everything, but Froning, gets first and whatever he gets in, but that 38th in 333, that alone would put him underneath that person.
Well,
because it's that bad of a score compared to like your middle ground. You know what I mean? Or like, however the calculator works. I think that's the only year that he'd be in trouble though.
Well, let's, dear Tyler, I got some work for you to do. Got a new show series coming out. P-scoring the CrossFit Games.
Just Matt Fraser winning another CrossFit Games, being the best CrossFitter ever. Just
by more and more and more. Those scores like peak Fraser. That would be.
Oh man, that'd be
like the 2020 CrossFit Games.
That's already embarrassing, though.
It is already
every games just look like the 2020s game.
All right, final events. This was one that wasn't announced until the day of. They've had. Like I said, they had the duel in 2021. They had. What they have in 22? Was it they had the clean it heavy grace. Was there, and then 23 it was the clean ascending weight or double under one. And so Bill and I were like, all right, this got to be some type of heavy clean and jerk with maybe some burpees in there, and very short and very heavy. And okay, so they had heavy grace in 22, and now they come out with a sandbag clean ladder, 30 reps, 15 at 150 and 125, 10 at 200 and 150, 5 at 225 and 175 to close things out. Something short, very quick, not a sprint per se, 30 total reps. That said, as a final to throw in there after what Rogue is and how it's usually programmed, which is short and heavy, this matches up. I didn't mind this being the finale of other ones. I don't know if last year was the most exciting because there was just so much in the line at the time we were watching, which I think was part of that too. But how did you guys feel about this as the finale?
I thought it was boring.
Okay.
I mean, as far as what it was, I liked the fact that it was cleans. And we knew that it had to be in there. But it literally was at like the slow pace that they were going, and there's your Rogue champion
racing through mud.
Common thing.
Kind of just like trails off, I mean, I think this would have been a great. It's not that I didn't like the event. I thought it was fine. It would have been better like mixed in earlier in the competition if you're going to have something like this and have something a little bit more exciting at the end. But I think this was to me the checking the boxes of the first event with the running. Like, we need to get some cleans. Check. And that was it. That was all it was a check. So I don't know. It wasn't that exciting. I don't think it was. I mean, if it was any heavier, it would have been slower, and you would have. I think it would have just been your stronger athletes just doing what they did. It was nice to see that Haley was in there. Yeah. I mean, her in this event shocked the shit out of me, out of everybody. I was not expecting that at all.
I think the first event should have been a 2K run, and then this, and then another 2K run.
Oh,
Or blend the two. I mean, like put these two together.
How beautiful would that be? Like
God, that'd be good. That'd be really good.
That's what I mean. Like this just checked the box of we need some cleans. And the first one just checked the box of we need some running. And the other one had sandbags in it. Like we could have done the exact same thing in the two events, put the two together.
Yeah.
But it was lackluster to me.
Was it because like the winner was already decided? I mean, we had decent races for the podium.
No, it
did not. I tend to agree with Bill. Like you said, we had decent races for the podium. It didn't feel like a race.
No, there was no excitement at all. Like what made last year, and then granted, it was really close last year with Tia and Laura coming in and being, or that event actually mattered. But there was also an element of execution where you had to push stuff, and I didn't see any of that here. Like maybe if they would have had the double under, maybe if they would have done last year's event on this one, and they had the double unders where you have this other little piece where there's an execution.
Yeah,
maybe that's what made last year. So it's like someone would miss it and be like, "Oh man,
true," because the workout evolved.
Right.
I mean, this weight did as well, but no one really got to the bag that couldn't do the one before and couldn't do the one after.
Yeah. Again, this is a great training workout.
I also think the last bag from the men should have been heavier.
What, 250? Just
one, it's beautiful. 150, 200, 250. Right. The women's goes like that, but 25. And then if you look at it, like the men all finished a minute faster than the women.
Yeah.
All of the men were 3 minutes something, 3 to 3:04, or 3:08, and then the 10th score was 4:12. The winning event for the women was 4:13. So when the 10th place for the men, middle part is the same as the women's winner, like then the women's was heavier than the men's, and the 250 would have stifled that a little bit. And and also it was 4:13, 4:17 with Danny. Danny Spiegel got second place with 4:17. The next fastest time is 5 minutes. Like there's a big gap after second place,
which is crazy because that's usually the opposite when it comes to sandbag events for the ladies.
Right. And I mean, like 250, and it fits the number scheme too, right? 150, 200, 250 instead of 225, and for the women it goes in 25. So I just think it would make a lot of sense to make it 250. I don't honestly think that would make it more exciting, but I do think it would make it a little bit better of an event. Just
all right. Here's one. This is Friday territory, but as you close things out, I didn't mind the event being a part of it. It fit with the theme that is Rogue. Although Barkley just says this is the fourth Rogue where the last event had 30 cleans. So that's also a theme.
That also fits with the theme of Rogue.
Beck had mentioned this a bit. He's like, I would have liked this as in a different place. Not necessarily not there. What if you put this as, let's see. You put this as event 2 coming off the run event. You do this, and then you have the handstand push-up, wall walk deal with the back squats. And you take that bike muscle-up snatch one, and you put
that's
that
your last event with no
you put that as the final with no shuttle runs.
Love it.
Because then it matters.
Then you got people pinning the bike, just taking a risk, taking a chance.
Because you have to at that point.
Every rep you get on the bar, you move it up a square. And you move it up a square.
I don't know if I like that because I want to give somebody a chance to
touch and go. All right, fine, keep it there.
I'm
fine with that.
I don't think anybody would, but just
you think anybody? We had this thing with Bill. We had this like I don't think anybody could as event.
I think he could.
I mean, I'd like to
whether he would want to would be different.
Right.
Give him an opportunity. I'm down.
I think Laura could.
Okay, so make the final event. So event 9 becomes event 2 right off the run. Sandbags are there. You already used sandbags sort of in event 1. Then you have gymnastics and squatting. And then you take that muscle up bike one and you have that as the final.
Yeah, I agree. That would be great.
Hey, something we were talking about doing, Chase, was looking at the top 5 after the first day to see if that equated to the overall.
How did we get there?
Gosh,
I'd have to
go back on that.
Yeah, that was the question is, will the top 5, that's definitely not the case after I saw some people finish, but will the top 5 at the end of day 1 be the top 5 over the weekend? I wonder if I can find that out. Let me see.
Sort after event 3.
No, it doesn't have that high function yet. All right, as I do that, Bill, do you want to give your grading, and then John?
Yeah. What I like about Rogue is that one, it's the most exclusive competition, by far the most the highest level of competitor of any CrossFit competition anywhere ever, including the games. So and granted, they're not all in game shape, and I understand that, but the athletes that you have are the best of the best of the best. And with Rogue, just with their strongman history, like they like to be a little bit heavier. I like that. I've always have leaned towards, not having to have a 1 rep max element necessarily, but like I like when things are heavier. I just like that piece of it, especially when a lot of that is blended with either gymnastics or whichever. Those are just, I'm very partial to those. Those are like my favorite of all of the different CrossFit competitive events. So I always look forward to that. I think that what they're trying to look for is a way to showcase the athletes and obviously some lifting elements, even classic lifting elements. And they like to have some different weird pieces to it, the things that Rogue can either create or design. And I think that if we're looking at that as the why, I think that we have a good showing for that. That being the case, there were a lot of events that I think, and we talked about it so many different times, that they are good training exercises or good training workouts. Where me as a coach, if I was to give like the 1,000-meter row and the jackish looking one, I would write that to someone and not to say, okay, go and do it. I'd say, here's what I want you to hold. You must hold this on your 1,000. I want you to do a minimum of, I want to see what your capacity is on the thruster at this end, on the first half and on the second half, so that I can see where you're breaking down. Like I would use that as a diagnostic tool rather than as a competitive event, because all you're going to be doing in this particular race is pacing until the very end to see, what do I need to do for the log muscle ups, and then where am I going to go after that? So I think there was a lot of pieces like that that affected the overall show of what this event was. Like, this shouldn't be the best of the best in the world training together. This should be the best of the best competing against each other. There were events that I really liked. I know that there was a lot of repeat things. I did like the wall walk back squat one. I really do. Even though we've done back squat 3 times. I think the log muscle up element is fine, but like, okay, we don't need to see that anymore for a while. I like the dual setup. I thought that the dual setup this year personally was the best one, even though I understand people got hurt, but like, as far as what it was written on paper, I liked what it was. I'm just kind of over, I think I'm over the dual segment. I don't think that it needs to be there all the time personally. I know we talked about this on our last show, Chase, and I know you really like that part. And to me, it's just kind of like, okay, I get it. I don't want it to be that like you have 8 events and I can already tell what 5 of them are going to be. Because then it gets into something like what John is talking about, that I can train specifically for Rogue and know how to get myself prepped for Rogue rather than prepping for a competition. So a lot of good events, not a lot of good competitive events, a lot of repeat. I think it did showcase the athletes, but I think in all reality, all I can really give it, as far as the way I feel with it is, man. Well, like part of me wants to do like just under 1 thumb, because it to me, there's a lot of boringness of it. It wasn't.
Wow.
I mean, I get bored when I see it, and when I see training events and not competitive events. I'll go 1.
Okay.
I'll go 1 because I like a lot of the pieces, even though there was a lot of repeats. There were good races, cool. I thought they did get to showcase some of the stuff with the athletes, but there were. I just think I think the ball got fumbled a bunch.
All right. 1. John, what about you?
All right. As far as the top 5 goes, by the way, if you were curious, Chandler Smith would have been the only one, the guys, that was top 5 after day 1. That wouldn't be. And
Yeah, I got
after the
him.
competition.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you were able to do it?
Yeah, I
Dang
found
it,
it.
Chase. I was doing all this math while Bill was
Oh, I
talking.
appreciate
I was so prepared. And then it's Gabby and Manon Anganese on the women's side. I'm so mad that you did that, Chase. All right. That's cool. I give it 1 thumb as well. I thought the programming was fine, but like that's how I feel about it. It's fine. I agree with Bill. Like I just think it was slow. I think it was a lot of stuff was just kind of a slog. A lot of the events were a slog. The one event that's not supposed to be a slog, you made it a slog by the wait time. Like, and you talked about should we grade the programming with the past in mind?
Yeah.
And I don't I don't have that with it, but I do put the wait time in the programming because you program it, you know how long it's going to take, you know that there's going to be that long break. And there is no plan to make it better. At least there wasn't this year, is what I'm saying. So I do grade them against that. They've ruined that event. And so I say 1 thumb up. I think it's a fine programming. I think it did what it wanted to do. It just wasn't super exciting.
So, okay. So this is a surprising thing for me because I've usually been pretty low on Rogue the last couple of years. Some of that has to do with how they programmed the duel, which was or what the final was. And now seeing it here is like, okay, so what's Rogue going to be? It's going to be more short, heavy events. They're going to, at least how it's been the last 3 to 4 years, we're going to get a 30 rep clean finale. We're going to get the log bar. We're going to get heavy back squats. We're going to get the duel. We're going to get a running and sandbag event. And couple that with, what you guys said is that there's a lot of, like, if this was like, hey, this is your training, I wouldn't say maybe for like the week, but with maybe these guys, you're like, man, Dan, there's just like, we got some solid workouts this week. Mm-hmm. We're getting heavy. It's like a time domain that I need to work on. I get that. Watching it from a outsider's perspective, which I'm not saying falls into my grading here, but it's like, okay, event 2, go. I'm like, no, I'm just going to wait till the snatches. Right. Event 3, go. It's like, no, I got to wait till I get to the log. And then I'm not going to go in the thrusters because you got this 1,000-meter row at the end I got to save something for. And then the sandbag 1, same thing as a finale. As a finale, you can't have just like you guys are saying, just a mind-numbing thing. The duels programmed great. I really like the programming of the start of Sunday. The pegboard didn't really pay off as well. It paid off way more than maybe we thought. But that's an athlete thing. The handstand walk twist in the middle was cool. A lot of heavy on the double unders to take away from that effectiveness. So maybe some of those races we didn't get that we could have. That said, as I don't think the top 5 is necessarily not the top 5 because of the programming and what Rogue is, right? Is this the most balanced fitness test I've ever seen? No. Was it a decently programmed event for what Rogue is and always has been and maybe will continue to be? Yeah, they did what they did. Nothing here was essentially bad. So I give it 1.2 is where I'm sitting.
So one thumb and a toe.
And the baby toe.
A nub. Yeah, 1 thumb and Chandler Smith's ring finger. All right. Okay, so John was talking about top 5 into the weekend for the women. This just goes to our question that we had. Tia Toomey, Laura Horvath, Ariel Lowen, Alex Gazan, Brooke Wells. The top 5 for the women after day 1 was Tia Toomey, Gabby Magawa, Laura Horvath, Brooke Wells, and Ariel Lowen.
And I want to say Ariel was tied with Man and Anganese for Man and
Yeah,
Anganese.
so she had the tiebreaker on her. If that's this, and so is that 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Gabby, so honestly, it probably would have been 5.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, Alex, that would have knocked someone out. It still would have been 4. So 4 of the top 5, somewhat in order. Was that after day 1? On the men's side, let's see. After day number 1, it was Jeff Adler, Ricky Garrard, Dallin Pepper. Was that Jason Hopper and Chandler Smith? And at the end of the weekend, it was Jeff Adler.
Good old Brent, that 18th place, pulling him out.
Mikowski, Jason Hopper, Ricky Garrard, Dallin Pepper. So pretty close.
Pretty close.
4 to the top 5 for both. What is that, 80%?
Do you think that's because of the athletes, and it wouldn't have mattered what events they had on there, or if it was the fact that it was those 3 events? Because we were talking about here's a long one, here's a short one, here's some skill stuff, here's some heavyweight. So we were talking about could that encapsulate Rogue on that first day just with those 3 events?
In a sense, just because there's 20, I think if there was 40, then that would mean a bit more.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's pretty top heavy at Invitational. But that's it. All right, 1 for Bill, 1 for John, 1.2 for me. I just took their points and added them onto mine. But I was entertained for most of the weekend. It was just good to see some of the athletes that we didn't get to see the games in competition again, and they're as fit as we thought they were. Also, Tia continues to just
annihilate,
just move to another level on her own.
It's crazy.
Like, do you have the John? Do you have the mountains of the spin tonight, 6:30 p.m. Central? Yeah. John's bringing his mountain back after the Rogue Invitational. Do you have the mountain, and then do you have like Valhalla, and then Tia's just up there
on a cloud, a mountain on a cloud?
I'm honestly I've been of the opinion that I really want Tia to retire, and I don't like her, and she's too good. She makes the sport boring, and blah blah blah. But I have changed my opinion now. Now I'm grateful for Tia, because if Tia was not here, it would be Laura. And Laura is on a planet of her own, and the only person that's better than her is Tia. But Laura's so far ahead of the next person.
Yeah.
And I know people want to say Gabby was coming for her, but and Gabby was doing great. Laura would have the way Laura did the rest of the competition. Yeah. Gabby would have still lost by over 50.
Gabby would have got 3rd,
right?
Yeah. And it was coming, right?
But but it wouldn't have been a close 3rd, is what I'm saying.
I agree.
And I think Laura really hurt her fan base with this competition, interestingly enough. And this might be a topic for Savants, but
I don't know. I didn't say anything about that.
I'm grateful for Tia, because I wouldn't want it to be Laura. I like Tia better than Laura now. And I did it before this whole thing. So
all right, well, now Tia has 7, she has to get 10. Is that what you're saying?
I just want them both to go away.
Beck, we're going to blink, and it's going to be time for the Open again. Yeah, if we find out when it is and what the season will be.
You don't even know if there is an Open.
Yeah, to be determined. Who knows? Maybe follow the Barbell Spin on Instagram for the latest breaking news and news you didn't know that was breaking news. Somehow he finds out everything. Matt, I'll just let everybody else read your comment. I won't.
You didn't want to put that up there? I almost put it up there for you.
I know you. I'm like, I'm going to start removing privileges. From
you guys can't get you can't talk controversial at all.
No, I mean, I guess I can.
We can. We just earmuffs. That's all.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. What is that? The magic word.
There you go. Yeah, Laura. Whatever.
Get bit, Laura.
Hey, there it is. So yesterday, Chase said for the last question on our show, he's like, what was your favorite event or your one shining spot of the whole competition? And I said, honestly, my most shocking thing was how last year for Rogue, I wanted Laura just to mash Tia's face. I was like rooting, like Tia, Laura. and down with Tia. And I have never on anything flip-flop that hard where I was like,
dude,
Tia, take her out at the knees. Just
well, I mean,
sweep
it
the
was
leg
just
already.
Team Gabby, right? And then that happened. And
No, I agree. It was crazy. Okay, Chase, you can come back
All right,
now.
go ahead, Chase.
What I miss?
Nothing. There's nothing.
All right. Singing everybody's praises per usual.
Yeah, totally.
All right, gang. Thanks for joining us. We will be back Friday. Hopefully swinging a couple other characters on the show where we will now reprogram the 2024 Rogue Invitational with all the things and suggestions we may have talked about on today's show. So we'll be back Friday. Don't miss the barbell spin tonight. Obviously, Savon's podcast going on every day at 7 a.m. Pacific time, since that is the only time that they recognize on the West Coast, as that is Bill Grundler. And then is Pedro having a around the whiteboard today?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, in about 45 minutes. So go over to Coffee Pods and Watch. Check that out. Got a lot of stuff coming at you. Could be an exciting week. Who knows? There's it sounds like things are moving, but we'll see if anything else exciting happens until we get to Friday. So thank you guys for joining us. Congrats to the Rogue Invitational. Thanks for doing what you do as always and allowing us to have a show, because without you, we would just be screaming into the ether, which is what we kind of do anyways. See you guys.